There is nothing with which every man is so afraid as getting to know how enormously much he is capable of doing and becoming. Isn't that strange? We speak so often of fear, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment. But what if the deeper fear is not that we are weak, but that we are powerful beyond measure, that we might actually become something remarkable, and in doing so, we would have no more excuses left to hide behind. You see, the path to improvement, to real growth, to becoming something more doesn't begin with talent. It doesn't begin with motivation. It begins with commitment. That simple moment when you say, I'm going to do this. I may not know how. I may stumble, but I'm in. Commitment is not loud. It is not dramatic. It's quiet. It's a decision made in the stillness of your own mind and honored in the days that follow. Now let's look deeper. Why do so many people stay stuck? Why do we resist change even when we know it's good for us? Because deep down, improvement means responsibility. It means letting go of the comfort that comes with excuses. It means taking ownership of your life instead of blaming the world, your past, your boss, or your parents. That's not easy. Because when you commit to improvement, you commit to leaving behind who you used to be. And there is grief in that. But here's the beauty. When you say, I can do this, you begin to reclaim control. And with control comes peace. You begin to notice that fear, anxiety, and self-doubt, they only thrive in chaos. They only survive when you're not in charge of your path. Fear cannot live in a house that is being rebuilt brick by someone who shows up every day. When you commit, you don't need guarantees. You don't need the full plan. You just need to begin. One small step. One quiet promise to yourself. And suddenly, life starts to move. You wake up with purpose. You show up even when it's hard. And slowly, improvement happens. Not all at once. Not in some grand explosion, but in small moments. When you say no to the easy way out. When you show up tired but still show up. When you fail and try again anyway. This is what it means to be alive. To grow, to improve. To honor your potential, not by shouting it to the world, but by living it quietly day after day. You see, we've been taught that success is an event, but it's not. Success is a direction. It's a movement toward better. Not perfect, not flawless, just better. So I ask you, not as a preacher, but as a fellow traveler on this strange journey, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for clarity, for motivation, for a sign? Let this be your sign. The commitment itself is the clarity. The commitment brings the motivation. It becomes the path. You do not need to have it all figured out. You just need to say, yes, I will begin. Let us not be afraid of what we might become. Let us not shrink from the weight of our own power. Improvement is not a demand from the world. It is an invitation from life itself. A whisper in the dark that says, you can grow, you can change, you are not finished yet. And the moment you respond to that whisper with a firm, I'm ready, everything changes. So start now, today. Not because you have to, but because you can. Because deep down, you know there's something in you, untapped, unfolding, waiting. And once you commit, you will meet it, and you will become it. Let us continue with a quote from the Brazilian writer Paulo Coelho. I can control my destiny, but not my fate. Destiny means there are opportunities to turn right or left, but fate is a one-way street. I believe we all have the choice as to whether we fulfill our destiny, but our fate is sealed. Now take a moment and breathe that in. What does it mean to have control and yet not have it? We like to think of ourselves as masters of our lives. We say things like, take control of your future. Be the author of your story. But deep down, we know there are things we cannot choose. We don't get to decide where we're born, or who raises us, or what the weather will be like tomorrow. We don't control time, or death, or the exact shape of our luck. So, what can we control? This is where the great beauty of the human experience begins. You see, life is not about absolute control. It's about knowing what to hold and what to let go. We can't control the river, but we can learn how to steer the boat. We can't control the storm, but we can decide whether we panic or anchor ourselves calmly. And that, my friends, is where action comes in. You see, the best cure for fear is not confidence. It is movement. When fear creeps into our minds, we often freeze. We hesitate, we overthink. We plan too much and act too little. But fear cannot survive long in the presence of bold action. Even a small act, a single step forward, shakes fear's foundations. Because fear lives in the imagination, but action lives in the now. And in the now you are powerful. Control, then, is not about ruling the world like a king. It's about ruling yourself like a wise traveler, one who walks with awareness, who chooses his steps with care, who doesn't demand certainty, but embraces responsibility. To take control means to say, I may not be in charge of the outcome, but I am in charge of how I show up. That is freedom. That is maturity. That is spiritual strength. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man walking up a mountain trail, and the path split in two directions. One led into the dark forest, the other toward a steep rocky climb. He stood there uncertain, wondering which path to take. And then he did something simple. He chose. It may not have been the perfect path, it may not have guaranteed success, but in that moment, he claimed his destiny. Because here's the truth. It is not perfection that defines our path. It is commitment. You might ask, what if I choose the wrong direction? But you see, even a wrong turn teaches you more than standing still ever could. Because every decision carries a lesson. And in every action there is evolution. The man who tries and fails will always be stronger than the one who never moves at all. Now let us talk about fate and destiny, two words that seem alike, but carry different meanings. Fate is the condition we are born into. The body, the time, the place, these things are beyond us. Destiny, on the other hand, is what we are called to become. And that is a choice. You can choose to live passively, letting life happen to you. Or you can choose to live actively, meeting life face to face. Every day you are offered this quiet power to respond rather than react, to move rather than complain, to speak rather than remain silent. And when you do, you begin to feel something shift within you. You begin to feel in control, not of the world, but of yourself. And that is more than enough. So what does it mean to take control? It does not mean forcing everything to go your way. It does not mean eliminating all fear. It means this: you take full responsibility for your choices. You accept the things you cannot change, and you act with courage in the space that remains. Because it is in that space, between fate and freedom, where all growth happens. You do not have to be perfect. You only have to be present. You do not need all the answers. You only need to be honest. And you do not need to see the whole road. You only need to take one step. So today, ask yourself, what can I do right now that brings me closer to the person I wish to be? Then do it. Don't wait, don't overthink, just act. Because control is not a crown you wear, it is a practice, a quiet discipline, and with each small action you build your future, stone by stone. Fate may place you on the road, but destiny is how you choose to walk it.